Chris, did you ever play past the junior varsity level of basketball?
Well, I got asked to leave the varsity team. So, yes, I did play varsity basketball, but I got asked to leave.
And why did you get asked to leave?
Creative differences with the coach.
And what kind of creative differences?
He thought that I was probably a little bit better at football, and they were like, we don't want to risk you getting hurt and taking your time, so we need to get you out to run track and play football. So they said it's probably the best thing for you.
DC ain't even make JVT. I love it.
I 100% did, and I was asked to leave. And, there's a lot of people out there that know why and that can stay. It's not something we need to dig up.
It was fighting was involved, if I'm not mistaken, correct? You beat somebody. Basically, you bullied somebody.
I was a lover, not a fighter, and I have the daughter to prove it, So
Welcome to Big B Daily. No frauds allowed.
What is going on, everybody? What is happening? Welcome back to Big B Daily. This is your man, Big B. What is going on? We are live on YouTube. We are live on TikTok. What is happening, man? Good Friday today. It is a good Friday today. We got a lot going on, lot to talk about, lot to cover. So, Coach Prime, man, what is he doing? They are losing people left and right. Does it matter? We're going to discuss some of that today. Steve Kerr saying that he wants to hang on to the core unit. I don't know what he's thinking. To me, it sounds like a pipe dream. At some point, you got to start over. Steve Kerr, come on, man. Let's stop. And then we got the top 5 defensive tackles at all time. We're continuing our series of top 5 players at each position. Today, we got defensive tackle. Let's get after this thing. Again, I appreciate everybody being here. If you're on TikTok, remember, keep tapping the screen. We need to get to 5,000 likes and at least 30 new follows. So if you're in here and you're not following, please give us a follow. We appreciate it, man. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Same thing. Click on the link in YouTube or click on my link in the bio. Click on that YouTube link. Come subscribe, man. Come subscribe over to YouTube, Big B Sports Talk. We appreciate everybody doing it. Come on over. If you ask anybody that's on YouTube, they'll tell you it's better than TikTok. Here's the thing, man. TikTok, I'm not sure how much it's going to be around. I am not sure how much longer TikTok's even going to be around. Apparently, they're trying to put the TikTok ban on one of these bills that, this funding bill for Ukraine and Israel, and to get TikTok banned. So hopefully that doesn't happen. But if it does, you got an outlet, man, over on TikTok. Or over on YouTube. You've got an outlet. So come subscribe. We appreciate everybody. Again, if you like what we're doing, you want to support the show, we appreciate it. You can always do a super chat and control the conversation over on YouTube. You can do the same thing on TikTok. Any gifts, tips, whatever you want to do, we appreciate it all. Let's get into this, man. So the first thing, Coach Prime at Colorado, they are losing people left and right. 14 new transfers after the spring semester. Look, it's one thing to have the transfers after the season. Okay? In December, you get the transfers. That's one thing. And in the spring, you might have a few. You might have 3 or 4 here or there. Guys that we either were in the program and aren't going to make a difference, or they transferred in and they're like, oh, whoops. Yeah, we're not as good as what we thought we were. We're getting out. Okay, I understand that part of it. So that's kind of the thinking behind all of that. Well, 14 is a crazy number. That's a crazy number, man. Something may very well be going on in Colorado. Why all these people are now leaving. Now, here's the flip side to that. People are saying, well, he's holding people accountable, which I agree. Holding people accountable to a certain standard, and some of these kids just don't want to do that. I get that. But 14, that's a lot, man. That is a lot. So I don't know what's going on. Like I said, I'm rooting for Coach Prime. I want Coach Prime to succeed, but something's got to give. You can't be losing 14 guys in the spring semester. That's too many. That is too many. And maybe they'll get some other guys to come in, but you lose 14, I mean, there's a problem. There's something going on. I know people are saying, well, maybe they're finding out that it's a lot of substance over there. You know, it's not what he's saying that it is over there, which I can agree with. But is the competition too high? Or is it really one of those things to where is Coach Prime running guys off? That could be another thing. You know, because coaches run people off nowadays. They always used to do it, but now you can do it legally, basically, and nobody says anything. So is that what's going on? They're running some guys off, and they're like, hey, man, you're not as good as what we thought you were going to be. You need to find another place. Marty McLean, the defensive back that came, it sounds like that was the case. It sounds like Dion was like, look, man, you won't do what we want you to do. You're not going to class. You don't study. It doesn't sound like you want it. We can't have you be here anymore. There's no reason for you to be here and just sit on the bench as much talent as you have. I think that was the case with him. And it might be a case for a plethora of other players as well. Is that maybe, you know what? You're not doing it here. Whatever we're doing, you know, you're not picking up what we're putting down. It's time for you to move on. So, and a lot of it, somebody over here, yeah, you're right, Sean. Transfer portal is very easy. You jump in, you find another place. You're right. Especially with the NCAA made it so easy now. Now you can transfer unlimited times as long as you're working towards a degree. Nobody cares. Yeah, it's become chaos. So, but let's take a deeper dive into Coach Prime. The first year they win 4 games. That's coming off the previous year with the previous coach. They won 1. The roster was awful. I would say on Colorado's roster, the year before Coach Prime got there, I would say they probably had, I don't know, 60 to 65 people that were on that roster shouldn't have been playing that high level of Division I. They had no business being there. Easily 65%. He comes in, they flip the roster completely, and then they win 4 games. The part of the roster that they ignored, and everybody that knows football knew it was going to be a problem. They ignored the offensive defensive line. And because of that, once they started playing teams that had a decent offense and defensive line, they got humiliated. So this year, I think they got to win 7 or 8 games. They got to win 7 or 8 games. Otherwise, it's not a success. It's time to change. So, and yes, Darren Howard, jumping from school to school is so weak. Oh, my God, it is so weak. I mean, I understand if you're in a situation and maybe you're not going to play, and you've been there for 2 or 3 years, and, okay, I'm not going to play here. I want to go play. Go transfer down and go play. But that's not what we're seeing a lot of these guys do. We see them, okay, they're there for a year. Oh, I didn't get to play. I leave. I go transfer. Say I'm at Colorado. Okay, I go transfer to Michigan State. Oh, yeah, I'm not playing at Michigan State either. Okay, well, I'm going to go transfer again. And at what point is it, you know what, I really just want to play football? Because this is what used to happen. When guys transfer, they used to transfer down a level. Why? Because you had to sit out if you transferred from Power 5 to Power 5. Yeah, or Group of 5. If you were Division I, you had to sit out. So even if you transferred from Michigan to Akron, you had to sit out. Well, now that's not what they do. You know, you don't have to sit out anymore. You know, that's the difference. But nobody's going from Michigan to Akron. They're going from Michigan to Arizona State, only to find out, oh, yeah, I'm still not any good. I still can't play. And that's the thing. If you want to play football, if that's what you really want to do, I think a lot of these guys got to say, you know what? I'm not a Division I talent. I'm not a Power 5 talent. Maybe I should transfer from Michigan to Akron. Go from Kansas State to Ball State. Maybe I should go down a level to try to play. I don't have to sit out, but that's not what they do. They go from one to the next, and then they get mad. Well, the coaching didn't do enough for me. I didn't get enough NIL money. What are we talking about, people? Come on. Players got to be better. I remember when I was playing back at Kansas State, we had a defensive back, a number. I'm not even going to go through his name. Yeah, I will. I'll say number 35, a feisty young cat, real feisty. Fought his way onto the field. And when I mean fought his way onto the field, Lord have mercy. My first weekend at Kansas State, there was a brawl out in front of our dorm. This 5'11", 175, 85-pound soaking wet dude was out there throwing haymakers. I said, you know what? This is the place I want to be. This is the place I want to be. If we're fighting, I said, you know what? I can get behind guys. I didn't know anybody there. I didn't know a soul. But I said, this is where I want to be. Football team is going to bond together. And it was like 8:30 in the morning out there fight. I said, yeah, I can get behind this. They don't do that anymore. There's none of that. No camaraderie like that anymore. No camaraderie. Lord have mercy. What are we doing? Everybody's buddies. No, I just need the football team to be together. You go to another school, I don't have to like you. We can be friends another time. We can do that another time. Unbelievable. I don't know. I think it's crazy. I just think it's crazy. I think we got to be better. We got to be better. Coach Prime got to be better. They got to win 7 games this year. I'm not saying they got to win 9 games or 10 games. I'm not saying that about Coach Prime. But they got to win 7 games. And they got a schedule to where they can win 7 games. I don't want to hear it. Winning 5 games is a failure this year. It's a failure. They got to win 7 games. Period. Point blank. End of story. That's what I believe. Let's see my man Jason Parkinson. Appreciate you joining over here on YouTube. He said, look at the wide receiver from Michigan. He transferred from Michigan to Delaware. He just wants to see the field. Yes. Sometimes, guys, look, I understand everybody wants to play big-time college football. That was my main objective. When I was leaving junior college, I wanted to go to a place that played big-time college football. That was my goal. I made it my goal when I went to junior college. I said, I'm only going to be here for 18 months. My goal is to go to the best possible place that I can go that's playing big-time football and put myself in that position. Had I not had that position, I had backup plans to say, I just want to play. If I can't play big-time football, okay, great. But I also know some other places I can go where I can still play Division I college football. The people now, they have no plan. These kids now, they have no plan. It's just, I'm going to do this no matter what. No matter what. This is what I'm doing. And then if it doesn't work out, which, look, a lot of times it doesn't always work out. Well, I'm just jumping ship. No thought to, okay, maybe I need to work a little bit here. Get in the weight room. Maybe I'm not as strong as I need to be. Maybe I'm not as explosive as I need to be. That's all. Drop down a level and go play. There's nothing wrong with that. And I know what a lot of it is. A lot of it is the psychological thing in guys back home where, he went to Michigan, but he couldn't make it at Michigan. He had to go to Ball State and play. Okay, where are you playing? What are you doing? Oh, nothing. Got it. And that's all people would really have to say. Hey, man, I'm going to play. I'm going to get an education, and I'm playing college football. Okay? What's wrong with playing college football? Not only that, what's wrong with playing college football at Michigan? What's wrong with playing college football at Toledo? What's wrong with playing college football at Indiana State? at Pitt State, at Northwestern? What's wrong with playing NIA or NAIA college football? Absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. So don't let the egos and the jealousy of people that aren't capable of doing what you're doing get in the way. I think a lot of times that's what happens. It did for me my first year. It did for me. And that's why I said, I got to get the hell away from where I live. Because that first year I went to college, I was driving home every weekend, going somewhere, doing stuff I wasn't supposed to be doing. And it was time for me to get out. And I left. And I think that would be good for a lot of guys. Do you get homesick? Sure you do. But you get past that. Like I said, I went to Kansas State. Now, I was past the homesick part by that point. But all I needed was a good fight. Yeah, buddy. A good fight out in the front of the dorms. And I was home. I was home. I said, yes, sir. Yes, sir. I was home. And so sometimes you just need something like that. Colorado's got to figure some stuff out. Coach Prime got to figure some stuff out. Hopefully, he continues to build. I'm rooting for him. Like I said, there's some problems there. There's no question. But hopefully they continue to build and they have a better year this year. So does education matter anymore? Says somebody on TikTok. That's a great point. It's almost like we've forgotten about that part of the whole school experience, is the education aspect. I would say this. People always say they blame the kids. Kids don't care. Does anybody care? Did the athletic department ever care? Did the academic side ever care? Because first of all, the academic side always hates the athletic side at every university. So that's number one. But number two, the athletic department doesn't care whether you graduate or not, or whether you're going to school. They care whether you can play, whether you can produce, whether you can help them win, which is going to generate them money. Period. End of story. That's all I'm saying. They don't care. They've never cared. So don't just put the onus on whether the individual kids care, because they probably, for the most part, a lot of them don't. You know, the education side is just a byproduct of them being there. But as far as anything else goes, I wouldn't say everybody cares. I wouldn't. So let's see here. Darren Howard. I've heard a tale of said fight. I think it was freshman or orientation day. Parents everywhere. Absolutely. It was everywhere. I said, this fight, and look, it's a legendary fight at Kansas State University, people. Legendary. Goes down, and there's a few guys that are in the chat here on YouTube that were in that fight. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to say any names because, again, I don't want, I'm changing the names to protect the innocent. Changing the names to protect the innocent. But I was there. Just, it goes down in the record books as one of the epic fights. Like I said, I knew I was at home when I see my 175-pound DB out there in front of everybody swinging, knocking people. I said, yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm at home. I love it. So, Oh, this is a good point. My man K-Ned says, we didn't bring you here to play chemistry, said Ohio State when his lab class conflicted with football practice. And that's what the coach said to him. We didn't bring you here to play chemistry. Now, that was Robert Smith, and Robert Smith was really, really smart. Graduated in 2.5 years from Ohio State. Smart guy. So, yeah, I think the academic part, it gets left out, and it is what it is. It's on both sides, man. It's on both sides. Let's move on. So, Steve Kerr. Steve Kerr is wanting the core of the Warriors to stick together. Now, I can understand the sentiment. I get that. You want Steph, you want Clay, you want Draymond, you want them to stick together and end their career together. That's not necessarily impossible because if Clay takes a huge pay cut, he can stay in Golden State. But I also think with that huge pay cut becomes a huge decrease in what his actual role is. Look, Golden State got to get younger. They got to get more athletic. And Clay his offense doesn't outweigh what he can't do defensively anymore. Look, those injuries zapped him of what he could try to do defensively. They just did. And now that he's not scoring at the clip, that he used to, not consistently, well, now what? You can't pay that guy $25, $35, $40 million a year. You can't do that. They already just signed a bad contract with Draymond. You can't do another one on top of that. How are you going to get better? And Steve Kerr wants them to stay together. Okay, that's fine. Steve Kerr, you can want them to stay together. Doesn't mean they should. Doesn't mean they will. I like Klay Thompson. I think Klay Thompson was out of his gourd when he thought he was a top 75 player. I'm like, come on, Klay. Let's be serious. Let's be serious. You're not a top 75 guy. You're just not. And there ain't nothing wrong with that. But to want them to all stay together, I think it's commendable. But Steve Kerr's living in a fairy tale if he believes that Klay Thompson is the same guy that he was before. He's living in a fairy tale land. And honestly, I don't even believe that he thinks that. So I don't think he believes that. So, yes, this is a great point.
This is the 1983
Steve Kerr
All-Star
is scared to coach without those three. He's never had to do it, so he doesn't necessarily know what to do. He's always had Clay, Steph, and Draymond. He's never had to rebuild. Well, if you've never had to rebuild, he doesn't know how to do it. So he doesn't know how to do it. He's never had to coach a team that wasn't ready-made to win. Great point, but here by my man Sideshow says Kerr is out of there after next year. I don't disagree. He signed an extension. I think he's got 2 more years. I think he's only going to be there 1. And I think Steve Kerr is going to call it a day. I think he's going to call it a day. I think he is done coaching, at least in Golden State. Steph will be 37 years old next year. Now, he didn't show any signs of slowing down. Steph's game's not predicated on spectacular athletic ability. He still gets to his spots, but he's not out athleticing anybody. That's never been his game. So he can still play. Klay Thompson can't do the same things that he used to. And Draymond, if you're relying on Draymond to get you 10 to 15 points a game, your team is terrible because, number one, he's not going to be able to do that. That's number one. And number two, it's just he's not that good offensively, scoring-wise, that is, to be able to keep that up. So I like – they just got to start over. At what point do you say, okay, we got to start over? I think they have young pieces. They just got to give those guys more minutes. And I know what it is. Steve Kerr doesn't want to put Klay Thompson on the bench and say, look, Klay, your role is going to be 18 to 19 minutes a game. Basically, the Russell Westbrook role. We want you to come in and have a ton of offense, be ultra aggressive with the second unit, but you're only going to get 18 to 19 minutes a game, man. We got to get these other guys on the court. They're athletic. They can defend. They can score. They can do more things now than what you can do. We still value you. We still want you to be a part of this, but the days of you getting 35 minutes a night are over. 18 to 19 minutes. You're coming off the bench again, and Klay should want that role. He should value that role. He should say, you know what? I can come off in this second unit and all I got to do is shoot. That's all I get to do. I come off and just be ultra aggressive and just shoot the basketball. He should want that role. And there's going to be nights where Klay Thompson gets on a roll and he does get 30 minutes and he throws in 33 points. There's going to be those nights. He's just not capable of stringing them together like he used to. And there's nothing wrong with that. So if Steve Kerr wants to keep the core unit together, okay, you can do that. But Klay Thompson has to take a back seat. That's the only way this is going to work. Because if not, they're going to be in the same spot that they were this year or next year that they were this year. They're going to be in the exact same spot on the outside looking in when it comes to the playoffs. So that's my feelings on all of that. I like the Warriors, but the Warriors got to start over. They got to start over. Let's move on, people. Let's move on. Again, as always, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Central Time, Big B Daily. We're live on TikTok. We're live on YouTube. I don't know what's been going on with TikTok. The last 4 days, it has been shutting down right in the middle of the live, just freezing up. So I don't know. Anybody that's on TikTok, and there's not many of you over there, I apologize. Have no idea what's going on. Maybe they're punishing me. Who knows? But quite frankly, I don't care. We're moving on. I told y'all to move over to YouTube anyway. That's where the fun is. So I appreciate everybody over here, man. So, all right. So now we're getting down to the nitty-gritty. The top 5 NFL defensive tackles of all time. So Warren Sapp, somebody says Warren Sapp top 5. No, absolutely not. And again, that doesn't mean Warren Sapp's not great. I'm not saying he's not great, but top 5? No. So here we go. Going from 5 to 1. Number 5, undersized defensive tackle. Didn't get drafted. Thought he was too little. And he was, technically, at the time. 244 pounds his senior year. Coming out of, I think it was Texas A&M Kingsville. Either way, John Randall. Absolute menace. 6-time first-team All-Pro. 7-time Pro Bowler. Had 137 sacks. Did y'all realize that? That John Randall ended his career with 137 sacks. Unblockable. Literally unblockable. On the edge. 3 technique, just running by people. Power, speed, nastiness. Give me John Randall. Give me, because you at that size, you have to be a technician. You're not just bull rushing people at 280 pounds. That's just not happening. You're not doing that consistently. So you got to be a technician. Hand placement, foot placement, setting guys up, all that stuff, film study. Give me John Randall at number 5. Now, here is where it starts to get a little tricky, but at number 4, Alan Page. Let me look at something here. Let me go through my notes here. Boom, 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 boom. And there it is. Alan Page. That's what I thought. I thought that's what I wrote down there. Number 5, Alan Page. First of all, Alan Page, underrated. Underrated defensive tackle. He played back in the 70s, but absolutely underrated. 2-time Defensive Player of the Year. And again, now this is unofficial. 148 sacks. Now, he played in an era where they didn't record him, but 148 from the defensive tackle position. Unbelievable. All-decade team. Played on those 4 teams of Minnesota that went to the Super Bowl. Didn't win any. Went on to become a lawyer and a judge. Alan Page. Underrated. And again, this was back, I know people are thinking, well, those guys weren't as big, but for that time, those guys were monsters. Just absolute monsters. So, but yeah, Alan Page, undersized, 2-time Defensive Player of the Year. Absolutely incredible from the defensive tackle position. Not to mention, Alan Page, 8-time Pro Bowler, or 9-time Pro Bowler, 8-time first team All-Pro. So there's that. Pretty good. Pretty good. Next on the list, number 3, Mr. Cowboy, Bob Lilly. Now, look, I don't necessarily like, you all know how I am about the Cowboys. I'm the vice president of the Cowboys Hater Committee. But a man was 11-time Pro Bowler, 7-time first team All-Pro. I mean, what do you want me to say? Seriously, what do you want me to say? 11 times in the Pro Bowl, 7 times first team All-Pro. He was on the all-decade team in the 60s and the 70s. So 2 decades, he was one of the best defensive tackles that played in the National Football League. Mr. Cowboy Bob Lilly comes in at number 3. Again, big for his time, athletic, strong at the point of attack, ton of push, initial punch, Lord have mercy, and was a technician with his hands. You just couldn't keep your hands on him because he was knocking you off. Bob Lilly, Mr. Cowboy, comes in at number 3. So, all right. Number 2. Now, this one, I wanted to put him at number 1. He's number 1 in my heart. Mean Joe Green. First of all, that's the best nickname in sports history. Mean Joe. Mean Joe Green. And he played with an attitude, just a bad attitude. Was nasty. Fun fact about Mean Joe Green, by the way, played over half his career with nerve damage in one of his arms. Was still that dominant with extreme nerve damage in his right, I think it was his right arm. Fun fact, didn't know that about him. He was the first player in NFL history to win the Defensive Player of the Year award twice. Was the anchor of the Steel Curtain defense that, in my estimation, the best defenses of all time. I know people will throw out, the 2000 Ravens or the 85 Bears. Nobody wants to hear that. You won 1 title. Get out of here. Steelers won 4 titles in 6 years. 9 Pro Bowlers. Stop it. Steelers defense. And Mean Joe was the anchor. He was the anchor. He was that guy. Couldn't move him. Invented the shade as far as a nose tackle. Unblockable. Would slide through between the center and the guard because he would tilt a little bit, and he was too quick. You couldn't block him. Could not block him. Had to shorten your splits down to be able to get in front of him. Well, when you did that, that caused problems on the end. Mean Joe was just that guy. Number 2, Mean Joe Green. And number 1, you can call it recency bias if you want to. But you can't. You can't. 10 years in the league. He made the Pro Bowl all 10 years. 8 times first team All-Pro. 111 sacks. 3-time Defensive Player of the Year. Universally known as one of the most unblockable and the most dominating defensive players in the history of the National Football League is Aaron Donald. I don't care if Aaron Donald retired today. They need to put him in the Hall of Fame now. The whole waiting 5 years is stupid anyway, in my opinion. I know they always say, well, guys might come back and play. Who cares? Who cares? For instance, if Aaron Donald, if you put him in the Hall of Fame this year and he came back next year and said, you know what, I want to continue to play, and he plays awful, does that mean he's still not a first ballot Hall of Famer? Does that take away from what he did the first 10 years of his career? Hell no, it doesn't. So why do we have to wait? It doesn't make any sense. If you're a Hall of Famer when you end your career, how are you not a Hall of Famer 5 years after? I mean, why do you have to wait? Either you are or you're not. You can't do anything in between that time period that's going to make you a Hall of Famer. So I just think the reasoning behind that, why they make people wait, it's almost like, well, they're in the Hall of Fame, but they can't be playing. Why? I mean, we didn't know Jerry Rice wasn't the greatest receiver to ever play while he was still playing. Of course we did. So why do we have to wait? Either way, Aaron Donald is the guy, number one defensive tackle of all time. It's not recency bias. I know people will say that, prisoner of the moment, which I'm a huge proponent of. But Aaron Donald was just that good. You couldn't block him. And he wrecked shop up until the very last snap that he was on an NFL field. If you didn't account for him, you had problems. You had problems up till the very last snap. If you didn't account for Aaron Donald, you had problems. Just that simple. It's just that simple. And you better account for him with a minimum of 2 guys. Because if you don't, he's going to wreck your backfield. He's going to wreck your play. I mean, ask Cincinnati in the Super Bowl. They thought they could get by without blocking them, or only blocking them with 1 guy. The last play of the Super Bowl, Jamar Chase is wide open, but guess what? Aaron Donald was hitting your quarterback because they thought, we'll slide the protection. We'll let our guy block one-on-one. Hopefully he can get in the way. Well, guess what? He couldn't get in the way. Stupidity at its finest. And that's what happens. That's how Aaron Donald, if you didn't block him, he wrecked your play with 2 guys, period. And sometimes when you did block him with 2 guys, he wrecked your play. Strong, athletic, just was mean, but not dirty, but super mean, basically. And he wasn't 340 pounds. I mean, he wasn't even 300 pounds. That's what Aaron Donald is doing. Wasn't even 300 pounds. Just dominating your offensive guards. Whoever he was around, he's dominating them. That's how good he was. Could rush up and down. And I'm sorry, Dynamite Dave. Sapp is not 2 or 3. Warren Sapp is not 2 or 3. You got to stop that. Got to stop that. We love Warren Sapp. We think he's great, but he's not in the top 5 defensive tackles of all time. He's just not. He's just not. So we love him, but he ain't top 5. So there's the top 5. Going from 5 to 1. John Randall, Alan Page, Bob Lilly, Mean Joe Green, Aaron Donald. It's been a fun series, man. It's been a fun. We only got 1 position that we're going to cover left. We're going to do that next week. That's quarterback. That'll be fun. That's going to be fun because I'm going to ruffle feathers. Y'all know me. And it's going to be fun. So, what else do we got, people? What do we got today on this lovely Friday? So, what do we have? Wakan says, not top 5, but Randy White was very scary. Yeah, he was. And I debated putting him in the top 5, too. I think he's 6, maybe 7, in my opinion. Randy White was very – here's the thing about Randy White. Hell, he started his career as a middle linebacker in the pros. As a backup. Imagine being that guy that made that decision. Oh, we're going to have Randy White. We're going to have him be a backup middle linebacker. He played defensive end coming out of college, but we're going to have him as a backup linebacker. I hope that guy doesn't play or isn't anywhere close to football after that. Lord have mercy. Colorado prediction. Over under 5 wins. Man, if Colorado doesn't get 5 wins, they should fire Coach Prime. Yeah, you heard me say that. If Colorado does not get 5 wins, Deion Sanders needs to be fired. I don't care how much money he's bringing to the program. It isn't working what he's doing if you can only win 5 games. Period. End of story. He's got to win more than 5 games. they got to win. In my opinion, 7 is the threshold. 7 is the threshold. So I think you got to do that. But 5, that's not a lot of pressure. Winning 5 games is a lot of pressure? No, it ain't. Go win. You're supposed to be better. People are turning rosters around left and right and winning football games these days. You don't have to continue to stink. You just don't. You just don't. My man Sideshow says under 5 games. Stop it. Stop it right now. Under 5 games. I hope not, man. I hope not. Leroy Glover, what he did at 285 was weird and awesome to watch. Yeah, Leroy Glover was really good. He's another guy. Undersized, 3 technique, borderline Hall of Famer. Personally, I think he belongs in there. Was outstanding while he was playing. A lot of people may not even know him. I think that's kind of the thing.
In an ideal world, how much of your...
But yeah, just kind of goes unnoticed a lot. Goes unnoticed.
In an ideal world,
TikTok is on one today, and we're trying our best, but it is what it is. It is what it is. They're not going to keep messing with you. It is what it is. But yeah, Coach Prime, he got to win a lot. Leroy Glover belongs in the Hall of Fame. What do we got here from my man WCAN? Too bad we never got to see how great Jerome Brown could have been. Exactly. Exactly. Is that the best defensive line ever? Reggie White, Jerome Brown, Clyde Simmons. Is that the best defensive line that we've seen? I'm kind of thinking that it is. I mean, if it's not, it's definitely top 5. Probably top 3. Top 3. So, Texas Tech's win total is over under 7.5. What are your thoughts? I think it's under. Tech's always good, but I think 7, when I say under, I think Tech will win 7 games. I don't think they're going to win 9, but I think they'll win 7. They're going to beat somebody that they're not supposed to beat, but they're going to lose to 2 teams that they're probably better than, just like last year. I mean, just like last year. So I like Tech, but it is what it is. It is what it is. So we're going to shut this one down today, people. I appreciate everybody being here, man. Thank you, guys. Again, Monday through Friday, Big B Daily, 9 a.m. Central Time, live on YouTube. We're trying to be live on TikTok, but it keeps shorting out on us, so it is what it is. So we may eventually just move it all over to YouTube. Well, that's the goal anyway. So I appreciate everybody being here, man. Thank you guys for showing up, for showing out. Everybody have a nice, safe, but fun-filled weekend. I will see you next Monday. Aloha.